Let's actually get our acceleration here. We're going to be getting our full-blown acceleration. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a driving comparison between a 2021 Ram 1500 Limited to a 2021 Ford F-150 Limited. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Provo and then the Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with both of the trucks. That all being said, let's just get straight into the driving comparison. Let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here in this 2021 F-150 Limited. So first off, visibility over the hood, it's just like any other 2021 F-150, pretty easy to see out of. And gosh, I love this new dash. It's so beautiful in the Limited. The leather is just really nice. There's your visibility through both the mirrors. And again, they do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's all throughout the rest of the rear. So visibility in the truck is really solid. And that all being said, well, let's set off. Well, as you can see, we are setting off in the new Limited, and I know you guys might be a little bit disappointed because this is not the Power Boost, but I have already done a review on the Power Boost. Absolutely love that truck. You guys know everything about that. So this will be more of a review on the Limited rather than, you know, just the engine that Power Boost provides. And I mean, still 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque is no joke. I guess the only thing that's interesting is if you got a 2020 Limited, you had the Raptor engine in it. And with the Raptor engine, that means that it had 450 horsepower and then 510 pound-feet of torque. So the new Limited technically has less horsepower and less torque than the old Limited. But then if you get the Power Boost Limited, then you're a little bit less horsepower, but then you have a lot more torque, and the hybrid system's crazy with like how it launches and everything. So it's kind of interesting how they have this set up. But first off, from a ride quality perspective, the Limited does a really good job for being a luxury car. I do not know what's sliding. Something's in the center console, probably for the lug nuts, and it's totally sliding around. But yeah, really smooth. Like, this definitely works really well as a luxury truck, and hopefully I have some time today to do like a driving comparison with this and a Ram 1500 Limited. If I do, then you guys are going to get basically a video with both of them where you'll have a side-by-side driving with both of them, then obviously a side-by-side comparison. Again, hopefully I've got time for that, and if I do, this video will be in part of the Limited video, but then also part of that video as well. But yeah, it's super smooth. And let's actually get our acceleration here. Ooh! So much torque. It has so much torque. And you know, for those of you that want to see it over in the sport mode, we'll pop it over into the sport mode right here for you, and then we'll get our turn and then get one more acceleration here in the sport mode. And you guys seen my previous reviews, you know that I'm not really a fan of the manual mode in these new F-150s. It's just not my thing. The automatic mode just does so much better. We're gonna make some space with us in this baby Bronco. Okay, there we go. Yeah, more than enough power. I'd have to drive this back to back with the last generation Limited to see if there's a power difference. And I obviously won't be able to do that today, but if there happens to be a situation where there is a 2020 Limited and a 2021 Limited on the lot at the same time, then I'll do like a back-to-back driving comparison. So I'll be able to tell you guys, you know, exactly how changed this truck feels and the acceleration difference. But let's finish things up on this truck. So from a ride quality perspective, as you guys can tell with how comfortable I was driving this, super comfortable, super easy to drive. The acceleration is very good. It's seamless, really solid from an acceleration standpoint. And then from an interior standpoint, this is amazing. I mean, not necessarily like the nicest materials everywhere. Like this part of the dash right here isn't covered in leather. However, it still looks nice, and it's not like you're gonna be touching the dash all the time. At least this touch point over here is really nice. And that's the thing about the new F-150s is they may not have as much leather as like the new Rams, but that being said, everything you touch is nice material wise, and on top of that, just so much quicker, a little bit better fuel economy as well. And I love the look of this interior, especially with this blue and the white. This is my favorite interior on a truck right now. Still sliding, but yeah, this is definitely like out of all the trucks in the market right now, from an interior perspective, really good. From the exterior perspective, I don't think it differentiates itself enough from like a regular F-150. It has the limited badges and everything, but it's not too different. And so that's where things are a little bit weird, but I don't know. I still think this is a great truck, and as a luxury truck, the Limited definitely fits the bill. Well, let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here in the Ram. So visibility of the hood, just like any other Ram 1500, is pretty easy to see out of. Compared to the Ford, I mean, both pretty similar. There's visibility through both the mirrors. Remember, they do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's all throughout the rest of the rear. So visibility in the Ram, just as solid as the F-150 Limited. And that all being said, well, let's set off. So we are initially setting off here in the 2021 Ram 1500 Limited. And first off, from a ride quality perspective, it's super smooth, and kind of something I do want to mention with the Ram is this has coilover suspension versus the leaf springs in the Ford. And because this doesn't have leaf springs, when you go over bumps and everything, it doesn't upset the truck nearly as much. And so from a ride quality perspective, not only is it smooth when you're driving, but it's also just really smooth when you go over things, which, I mean, I definitely always appreciate that from a ride quality perspective. Especially with a luxury truck like this, right? This is a, you know, $70,000 truck. You want it to have a nice, smooth, luxury ride to it. And then going around this little roundabout right here, yeah, handles really good. They both feel pretty similar from a handling perspective. This has a little bit more weight in the front because of the big V8, but I mean, overall, it handles really well. And so from a handling perspective, I mean, the F-150 steering might be a little bit sharper, but I mean, I feel like they're both, you know, close enough that it's not really something that's going to be too crazy for you guys to be able to differentiate. Unless you drive them back to back like when I'm driving, then you can kind of feel the difference. And we've got our famous Provo traffic here, so we're probably going to be waiting a minute. Now we are going to be getting our full-blown acceleration with the Ram 1500 Limited. Yeah, so from an acceleration standpoint, the Ford definitely has a lot more torque, a lot more power. And again, we're at about 4,500 feet elevation, so this being naturally aspirated is not going to perform as well as the Ford, because the Ford has the twin turbos to help it out there. Brakes are really solid on this. Yeah, that's crazy. The brakes, they work really well. But anyways, let's actually get into summing things up with this Ram 1500 Limited. So again, from a ride quality perspective, very smooth. I think the outside, I love it. The thing I like about the Ram Limited versus the F-150 Limited is this has unique headlights and all that, so it makes it look a little bit more unique. Versus the F-150 Limited, if you take away the grille and all that, I mean, it has the same lights and all that as the Lariat, so it doesn't look as distinguished. Or sorry, distinct, I mean. And then from an interior perspective, the Ram's great, has a ton of nice soft touch points everywhere, really nice interior. From the performance and acceleration standpoint, the Ram definitely a little bit behind the Ford, but I mean, you do get the nice V8 sound, so it just depends on what you're looking for. Would you rather have a big naturally aspirated V8, or would you rather have a twin turbo V6 that gets a little bit more power, a little bit more torque, accelerates better, and it gets a little bit better fuel economy too? It just depends on what your needs are and what you're looking for, and so that'll kind of determine which of these trucks makes the most sense for you to go from a driving perspective. Now let's actually sum things up with the driving comparison between both of the trucks. So obviously the Ford is a little bit more expensive, but from a ride quality perspective, they're both pretty similar. Now when you do go over bumps, it doesn't upset the Ram as much as it upsets the Ford. I think it's because of the leaf springs on the Ford, but other than that, both super smooth, both do really good as a luxury truck. The F-150 Limited is a little bit quicker with the EcoBoost and the V6, so definitely a little bit more solid on that sound, or that side of things, or not sound. But speaking of sound, the Ram, that Hemi does sound quite a bit nicer. So yeah, it's kind of like a give and take right there. The F-150 does have a higher towing capacity than the Ram, so that's another thing to take into account. But I guess the biggest takeaway of today's video is both of them are great luxury trucks. They both drive really good, and what you really need to do is you just need to drive these back to back like what I just did, and then that'll let you know which one you like more. But you're both going to like them both for different reasons. Now that's going to sum things up for our video comparing this 2021 Ford F-150 Limited to this 2021 Ram 1500 Limited from a driving comparison standpoint. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Provo and then the Ford Lincoln here in Provo for giving me some time with both the trucks. Check out both their inventories in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.